Why, hello everyone. This is Aaron Duran with geekinthecity.com with another quick review of the Star Trek Discovery Starships collection from Eagle Moss. I'm a little late on this one, but here we are, finally, the USS Shran. I actually received this a few weeks ago. Like I said, things got busy and I'm a little late with the review. It's a fun design in that it really does have some... there's some similarities to what will become the USS Defiant. I think maybe we just say that because the nacelles are just built right directly into the saucer section of the primary hull or what have you. It is a very different design for a Starfleet ship within Star Trek. I will give it that. So it's very striking in how it looks and that it, doesn't really look like a ship that we're used to, especially in this era. As for the build itself, it doesn't feel as hefty as some of the other Eagle Moss ships, and maybe because it's more of a solid piece as opposed to, you have the nacelles coming out, or on the Klingon ones you've got the wings that come out. This one's all contained in one, basically one disc, and as a result, maybe Eagle Moss went a little bit lighter on some of the more metallic parts, so it has a more plasticky feel than some of the other ships within the line. It still has a really fantastic paint job. I will give it that. The detail is really strong, especially considering, I believe from reading in the book, this ship doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, and even then, it's only in the background. So this seems to be the first Eagle Moss model where the designers and the model makers themselves of this line had to have the most creativity in bringing this one into a physical form. That being said, I still like it. As I've liked all of them. I wish I knew a little bit more about the design process. The book has some information, but not as much as one would hope. I do appreciate the paint job here. You're starting to see a little bit of a connection to the TOS era ships with the red line striping there. It still has the Aztecing that we kind of come to know as a signature design of all Starfleet vessels, so that's pretty cool. And of course the name, USS Shran. Named for Jeffrey Combs. This is just how I'm choosing to say it. But it's a fun one. I do have one small kind of weird concern. It mounts just fine, which is great. It holds. You can't tell. It's really harder to tell here because of how I shoot these videos, but I'd be curious to see if somebody else who has this line has a similar issue. When it's in its display stand, it's always kind of at like a Dutch angle. And I am... I've got it pushed in all the way without it potentially breaking. So it never quite flies straight at you, I guess. And maybe that was a design. Maybe they wanted it that way to kind of give it a dynamic pose. But it can be a little distracting when every time you walk by your collection of Eagle Moss ships, you see a ship that's just kind of like, whatever. You have to fight the urge to constantly straighten it out. So know that when you walk by, it's, maybe it's in the middle of a banking turn or whatever. That being said, it's a fun design. Not as sturdy as I thought it would be. Not as hefty as I thought it would be. But it sure does look pretty and it joins the collection well. Tune in next month where I do believe we will finally get to look at the Discovery design of the USS Enterprise, which has me all kinds of pumped. Until then, you can listen to my podcast at geekinthecity.com every week, and you can support the Patreon at patreon.com/geekinthecity. Until then, live long and prosper.